Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's NBA edition of Proline. The NFL season is completed. Baltimore Ravens are Super Bowl champions, and now it's on to NBA college basketball grabbing center stage. And, you know, around this time of year, All-Star break, this is when people start to really get interested in the NBA. We got four good people here to look at what's happening around the league right now, talk about one of the best games this weekend, give us some analysis on that, and also some other team breakdowns. Big Al is here, Big Al McMordie from Big Al Sports, Jim Feist, John Creighton from Jim Feist Sports, and my name's Dave Cokin. Before we get to the games and before we get to what we're going to break down in this week's show, let's start with what we've got going this weekend. I have a 3-game basketball parlay on Saturday. All TV games, by the way. That wasn't by design. It just happens that all 3 games are national TV games. So good, get to watch it and win it as well. 3 games, and it only costs $3. And there's a guarantee. You got to win all 3 games. 2-1, not bad, but you got to go 3-0, or you're going to get a full week of my plays completely free. Sign up early, and you'll get an under-the-head bonus play that goes tonight. All that for $3. Great way to test the waters, spending almost nothing and getting a guaranteed 3-0 in return. Make the call. You'll be glad you did. 1-866-896-1629. That's 1-866-896-1629. And don't forget, you can get a free play from me every day via text message. Very easy. All you have to do is text Cokin, C-O-K-I-N, to 313131, and you'll get back a free play via text message. It's as simple as that. Big Al, coming off a massive weekend. The High Rollers continue to be dynamite. Northern Iowa comes through. Winner in the Super Bowl with the Ravens. You had to sweat the power blackout, obviously, which changed the whole game, but nevertheless, you had the right side there by a mile. So, real good weekend. What do you got coming up this weekend?
Well, you know, I'm looking at a lot of strong plays on Saturday, Dave, and our Fortune 500 Club, this is a game I've had circled for weeks, and it goes for $500 online, but I'm going to put it in a package for all callers, and it's only going to be $15. You're going to get 3 plays on Saturday, plus if you call early, you even get a 4th play going tonight. So you possibly get 4 plays, including that Fortune 500 Club winner, and it's only going to be $15. And folks, I'm going to guarantee that you win the Fortune 500 Club play, or the rest of February basketball is absolutely free. Call toll-free 866-841-1665. That's 866-841-1665.
And Jim Feist, not surprising. Great job on Joe Flacco in the Super Bowl. I know you're pretty high on him, and he came through with a tremendous performance. It helped you cash the over, and you've been just murdering the books on these Saturday cards.
The Super Bowl was a fantastic game to watch, and in the blackout, I gave San Francisco a little time to catch their breath and make a comeback. My biggest play in that was the Ravens 49ers over the total. It was one of the biggest total plays I'd ever made in my life. I did have a future bet that I made in August on the 49ers, which I lost, but I did hedge a little bit. But the fact that Flacco got the over 1.5 TDs was not surprising, as the San Francisco secondary wasn't that strong near the end of the year without the pass rush they had earlier. So that's one of the reasons I like the over. It all worked out. As far as basketball is concerned, the last 3 Saturdays have been awesome. 10-5, 12-6, 7-4. It's been money. And 2-1 in my game of the year packages. Lost with Indiana State, cash with Colorado State and Texas. This week, I've got a high roller personal elite play. These don't come up that often. It's $2,000. People are paying for that right now online. $2,000 for this one play. But I have a special offer. It's $49 with a guarantee. You will win, or the NBA and college is free through June. So make the call. 1-866-841-1655 for this humongous play. 1-866-841-1655. And if you want free plays each and every day, text to your cell phone, just text WINNER, WINNER, to 313131, and we'll send them right to your phone. Back to you, Dave.
All right, we'll hear from Jeff Saad in a little while with a great weekend special from LVSS, and he'll have a free pick as well. We're going to look at the Clippers-Miami game in a little bit, but I thought first we'd look at some individual teams, where they are right now, where we think they may end up going. Jim, let's start with the Memphis Grizzlies, who Yeah, started the year off. They were actually the best team in the league early in the season. Kind of leveled off from that somewhat, but a very surprising move within the last week or so, where they basically, I don't know, some analysts are saying it improved the team. I think they're crazy. They took their leading scorer and the guy who plays the most minutes on the team, and I thought they gave him away to stay under the luxury tax cap, which I don't know about. What kind of message does that send to the team? Can't be positive, can it?
Well, Dave, I don't like what the owner did here, but it does come down to money. I mean, they do buy these teams to make money, and if you look at it down the road, maybe they did strengthen themselves. Maybe they will be better. But they were pretty darn good right now, just the way they were. But there was a big money involved there. There was a $4 million luxury tax that they avoided. They took $37 million off the table in their salary. They got an exemption on a trade. There's a lot of ways to look at why Robert Parra he's the guy that bought the team in November, why he did what he did. But for this year, I think if I'm on that team and we have the chemistry and we're playing really well, and they really were playing very well, the last 51 games, 36-14 against the spread, that's with 0 days rest. This team was very solid. I think the message for this year is, by the owner, the money is more important than the winning. Now, I may be wrong. I like this team a lot, and I've made money with this team. I may be wrong. Maybe he's more right than I am with this. But when you put the money in front of me like that and I say, okay, this guy's making money decisions, I think he made a decision that's going to help the team maybe down the road, but hurt them right now.
Yeah, the Bulls are an interesting team because I think the consensus going in was that, well, they didn't do anything in the free agent marketplace over the summer because they don't know when Rose is going to be back. And, just get through this year. They're going to have a bunch of money that they'll be able to spend in this offseason. So they're almost certainly going to be contenders next season. But the interesting thing is they might be contenders this season. I mean, Rose is on his way back. And this team has turned out to be, I think, better than people thought they would be. Look how well they've done without Derrick Rose.
Yeah, I mean, it's really the same old story in the NBA. I mean, the two best coaches going are Tom Thibodeau and Greg Popovich. It really doesn't matter what players you give these guys. They're going to win. And, no Derrick Rose, no problem. And it's not just Rose who's been out. Kirk Heinrich, he's been out lately after getting his right elbow, cleaned out. Joakim Noah, he's sidelined with soreness in his right foot. Boozer just returned from missing 3 games. He's got hamstring problems. So they've got a lot of injuries, and all they're really doing is winning. And the surprising thing is they're doing it on the road. The best road record in the NBA or among the best this season. They did come off that loss the other day, at Indiana. But Rose is expected back, maybe before the All-Star break, maybe after the All-Star break. Don't know how much he's going to play initially and at what level. That's the big question mark. But if he comes back and is anywhere close to where he's been before, this team's going to be right there in the East. Because if you look at their net adjusted rating right now, they rank 10th in the league with a plus 2.25 rating, just ahead of the Pacers, who are plus 1.98. And the Eastern Conference doesn't have a lot of depth. I mean, you've got just really 5 teams that have a chance in the East. You've got the Heat at the top, but then you've got the Nets, the Knicks, the Pacers, and the Bulls. So with Rose back, I think the Bulls might make a move. I mean, they were right there last year, and I like this team a lot.
What's interesting is that I think they suddenly become a team that might get active at the trading deadline because it's like, hey, wait a minute. We might be able to win this right now. I wouldn't be surprised if they're active. We'll see. Another team that could be active is the Pacers. This is a legit team. Look, they gave Miami a heck of a series last year, and they're going to be better than they were a year ago when Danny Granger gets back. They've done all this without Granger. Paul George has stepped his game up to an all-star level. Hibbert, I don't know, what is maybe the third best big guy in the league? His numbers aren't off the charts, but he's good. David West has been an enormous addition to this basketball team. And the other thing to like about them is how they match up against Miami. First of all, look, I'm not knocking the Heat. They're going through a typical... They know what it takes to win. And when the playoffs begin, Miami's going to be very difficult. But I still think they've got a matchup problem with Indiana. And if those two teams end up in the playoffs again, I wouldn't be shocked if Indiana pulls the upset. I think it's a real possibility. Frank Vogel's an excellent basketball coach. The team plays tremendous defense. They've already beaten Miami twice this season, and I thought the win earlier this week was really significant because Miami in revenge games the last couple of years has been just about money in the bank. You know, they don't always get up for their games, but when they face a team that beat them the last time around, it's been about, 70% winner against the spread, and they got bombed. I mean, they were never in the game at Indiana. I think this Pacers team is one that right now, and I'm not a futures bettor. I don't recommend futures. I think you're better off just going game by game. Once the playoff starts, you make more money that way. But if I had to bet a future team right now, in terms of medium value, might very well be the Pacers. I think they're a team that's really live. George Karl, great coach. He's always got his teams in the mix, but never over the top. And it kind of looks like the Denver Nuggets are going to be in that situation again this year. They're a good basketball team, but, I just don't know whether they've got enough to make a big run come playoff time.
Yeah, one of the things with the Nuggets to keep in mind is the schedule maker. I mean, the Nuggets played 22 of their first 32 games on the road. It was the worst scheduling to start a season in 20 years. And you look December 31st, this team was 17-15 despite plenty of offense and some talent. Well, that was a big factor, that horrible schedule. And look what's happened since then. They then won 14 of the next 17 games. They are fourth in the NBA in scoring because Carl's no dummy. He knows he's got outstanding point guards in Ty Lawson and Andre Miller, so he runs right at opponents. They are now gaining an advantage, which they've always had with their home court in the thin Denver mountain air. So they're going to be a team to look at, especially at home, and perhaps undervalued by odds makers, too. This team is 4-1 against the spread the last 5 home games. They're also 10-1 over the total at home. And keep in mind, when they win a game, they're 20-8 over the total the next game. Are they built for the regular season? Absolutely. As for the playoffs, I still have a lot of reservations about that. They're a bad three-point shooting team. Their defense is in the middle of the pack, which is common with teams that go up-tempo. But here's the thing. They're also dead last in the NBA at the free throw line. Yeah. Can you believe that? They're worse than Dwight Howard and the Lakers. Jim, I would put you up against Dwight Howard, and I would make you a minus 800 favorite in a free throw contest. Can you take that?
Can I surrender now?
No.
Well, it would be fun. I'd love the battle, but I know who's going to win.
I'm a pretty good shooter at the line. I've seen that.
Well, Dwight Howard would find an excuse not to participate anyway. All right, we're going to look at the Clippers in Miami in a little bit, but before we do that, let's give Jeff Satt a little bit of airtime here. Jeff from LVSS, great special for the rest of February, and Jeff, you got a free pick for us as well.
Thanks, Dave. A free college play coming up. But first, you can get the rest of February hoops, NBA and college, for just $19, including a college conference game of the year going Saturday. I started 2-0 with college games of the years. Another one goes Saturday. Hoops all month for $19. NBA and college with Las Vegas Sports Services. Call LVSS at 1-866-575-8916. Your free play of Saturday in the Big East as Notre Dame hosts Louisville, a pair of strong defensive teams. Louisville allows 40% shooting in conference play. Notre Dame 41%. Louisville was third in the Big East, allowing 58 points per game, a terrific team under the total in conference play. But the offense slipped during a recent 3-game skid, ending with a 53-51 loss to Georgetown, shooting 35%. Notre Dame is home after a 2-game road trip, and in the last home game held Villanova to 60 points and 42% shooting. That game went under the total, part of a 6-1 run under the total by the Irish. Last year, Louisville won in the Big East tourney 64-50 in a game that sailed under the total, holding Notre Dame to 35%, 2 of 17 from three-point land. Notre Dame won the regular season meeting 67-65, but in double overtime, it was 50-50 in regulation. Played Louisville and Notre Dame to stay under the total. Once again, get the rest of February basketball, NBA, and college for just $19, including a college conference game of the year going Saturday. Call the LVSS at 1-866-575-8916. Back to you, Dave.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Good luck this weekend. All right, Clippers at Miami. Jim, I think it's fair to say that if there was some confusion about who the most valuable player in the NBA has really been this season, let's just end that conversation, because the Clippers, without Chris Paul, have not much of a team, quite frankly. There's been a huge drop-off since Paul went out. They've got to go to Miami, and listen, if Chris Paul's not in the lineup, good luck. They're just not much of a threat with Bledsoe on the court, and he's not a stiff, but he sure isn't Chris Paul.
No, he's not, and he is a big loss. There's no question. They've been banged up quite a bit lately, and they're playing, I believe this is their sixth straight road game. I think they have an 8-game road trip, and this is their sixth game. They beat Miami out on the West Coast when they did play earlier. Miami is a tough team at home, 19-3. We're talking about straight up. The Clippers, I feel in this situation, 1-5 ATS in their last 6 road games, 0-5 ATS versus Eastern Conference on a 2-8 ATS run right now. This is a tough spot at the end of a long road trip against a very tough team that has maybe some revenge on their hearts right now. But I don't think Miami really points to anything right now. I think they're quite a bit cocky. They haven't played that well against the top teams. I don't think they focus. I'm not sure if that'll catch up to them later in the playoffs or not. But we know they have the talent with James and Miller and Chalmers and Allen, and Wade. They have the talent, and they can put it to the Clippers, especially when they're shorthanded and on a long road trip.
Al, there's been some rumors that Kevin Garnett, Celtics, of course, are denying it, but common sense says that if the Clippers are actually willing to take on Kevin Garnett's contract and give them Bledsoe and somebody else in the process, it'd be a no-brainer for Boston. I don't know if that gets done. I think the Clippers need to have it happen, regardless of whether Paul comes back healthy or not. They can't win the championship with their front court the way it is right now. So it would behoove them, if they can get Garnett, go ahead and take a shot. Your feelings on that and this weekend's matchup against Miami?
Well, I've seen some of the trade rumors. I just don't think Boston does the deal unless they can get a guy like DeAndre Jordan in the deal. And I just don't think the Clippers are going to give up DeAndre Jordan. So I'd be surprised if that deal actually materializes. Maybe Kevin Garnett might go elsewhere. I just don't see him going to the Clippers. Clippers, they're just banged up right now. I mean, they were arguably, I don't think anyone would dispute it, one of the 3 best teams in the league, along with San Antonio and Oklahoma City before Paul got injured. Now Blake Griffin is out. He's missing Wednesday's game again, so that's 2 straight games for Griffin to be out of the lineup. He's got a strained hamstring, and who knows if he'll even be available for Friday's game versus the Heat. But without Griffin and Paul, then I really wouldn't want any part of this game one way or the other. But from a technical standpoint, if you take a look at this matchup, the Clippers' recent success versus the Heat has all come at home. Los Angeles is 5-0 straight up and against the spread versus Miami since 2008 in Los Angeles, including the 7-point win in November of this season. But on the road, it's a different story. Miami's covered the last 4 in South Beach going back to 2008. So those are the technicals. I think with the injury situation, this is just a game to stay away from.
I think I might look at the total in the game. I think the under's live here, John. The Clippers are not. They're just missing. Look, when you take that much offense away, the only chance you've got to stay in the game is to batten down the hatches and hope you get the other team into a bad shooting night and win a 90-85 type of game. That to me is the Clippers' only shot. So I think they'll play it that way as they're shorthanded here. and I look for the game to stay under the total. How about you, John?
Yeah, very similar. I mean, if you're looking for a weakness for the Miami Heat, they're a 500 road team, but more importantly, they're not a great rebounding team. This has been a problem the last couple of years, even last year when they won the title. Weak rebounding team, not a big front court, and we saw that last week when they played the Indiana Pacers. Indiana had said before the game, we're going to come at this, we're going to throw elbows and play the physical game. Well, they did, and they blew out Miami 102-89. Normally, as far as matchups, this is a perfect spot for the LA Clippers. They have a big, deep team, big front court, can play the physical game. But as you guys mentioned, they're just not 100% with Chris Paul and even Blake Griffin missing time this week. So it's tough to back the Clippers when you're not sure about the depth and the health right now. But here's the thing. These teams met last year. It was a 95-89 game in overtime under the total. And the Clippers were a bad defensive team last year. They've improved dramatically in that regard. And in that game, the Clippers shot 42%, Miami 39%. I suspect the only way the Clippers can hang around with their injury problems with Paul is to slow the pace down, go to the one strength they do have this year is defense. And keep in mind that Miami's last 12 home games, they're 9-3 under the total. So yeah, Dave, I would see a low-scoring defensive game in this one.
All right, we'll take a look at some best bets. It can be on this game or any other NBA matchup or even a college basketball game that's out there. And let me start off here. I'll take a look at a Friday night game. Toronto playing at Indiana. I was just talking before how much I like the Pacers, but I don't like them in this spot because of a makeup game that they had to play on Monday against Chicago. This is now 4 games in 5 nights for the Pacers, and this is the least of the opponents. They had Chicago on Monday, Atlanta on Tuesday, at Philly on Wednesday, night off. Come back on Friday, weakest team they're facing in the group, Toronto. It's a letdown spot for a team that's going to be a little bit tired anyway, and the Pacers are now laying pretty big numbers at home. Toronto, I think, good enough to hang around in this contest. Probably won't win it, but I'll take Toronto plus the points for a Friday night best bet. Your best bet to take advantage of this guaranteed 3-game TV parlay that I've got on Saturday. These are college games. All 3 games for $3. You'll get to watch them all as well. And you got to win them all. It's a guaranteed 3-0. You get a full week of my personal service plays free on me. Sign up early, and I'll give you an under the ad bonus play that goes tonight at no additional cost. So $3 for a guaranteed 3-0. 1-866-896-1629 is the number to call. Al, coming off the big weekend, the big win in the Super Bowl, and a monster Fortune 500 play, worth a lot of money online. Not going to cost much for people who call, though.
Yeah, the Fortune 500 Club play goes for $500 online, and I've got a special offer this weekend. That big play along with $200 on Saturday, and if you sign up early today, you get a bonus 4th play. All 4 plays just $15. 866-841-1665. I'm going to guarantee that you win the Fortune 500 Club play, or you get the rest of February, all my hoops, pro and college, absolutely free. Call toll free 866-841-1665. I'm going to go off the grid a little bit for my best bet, guys. You know, we talked a little bit about the Chicago Bulls. Well, there's a matchup on Monday where they're going to be playing the San Antonio Spurs. And this is a tough matchup for San Antonio because it's going to be the Spurs' 3rd game in 4 nights. It also will be the 2nd of back-to-back games, so the Spurs will be unrested. And I just like Chicago in this situation because Chicago is one of the 4 best defensive teams in the league this year, along with San Antonio, the Indiana Pacers, and the Memphis Grizzlies. So this is a team that can hold its own against San Antonio on the defensive end. And I just like the situation here, the fact that San Antonio has been a bit banged up, you know, as they start this rodeo road trip. Ginobili and Duncan are going to be out. I think one or both may be back for that game against Chicago, but who knows? Popovich may decide he wants to rest them then as well. And I think Chicago, with the way they're playing right now, is in a really good situation. I would take Chicago on Monday as my best bet.
Jim, you can't have a top-of-the-chart play every night. They just don't come up that way, and you can't force these things. But when you do have one, it's a pretty big game for your players. I mean, they really step out and fire in these games, which is why they cost so much. But you've got one that people can check out for themselves, it's not going to cost them that much, and it's as good as it gets.
One of the great things about the long basketball season is that there's always some sleeper teams out there that people just don't recognize that they're turning the corner, or they're coming out of what they were in the beginning and now they're developing. When that happens, these kind of teams, they're kind of under the radar. The odds maker doesn't see it. The players generally don't see it. And they're either overvalued or undervalued, whatever the case may be. This is a $2,000 play that's for sale online right now. But a guarantee at a very low price of $49, it's guaranteed the win, or the NBA and college games are free through June. That's right. It's a big play. It's a step-out game. If you're ready to step up and step out on a big play, this one is it. Make the call to 1-866-841-1655 and get this big game, $49 plus the guarantee. As far as I'm not going to go off the grid at all with this game. The Clippers and Heat. This is just a long road trip. Miami doesn't focus on the big games during season. They're a little bit cocky. They got the championship, all that stuff, but they got the players and they're healthy. I think Miami's going to step up in this game. I think you're going to see a low-scoring game because the Clippers just don't have the firepower. But Miami can play some tough defense, too. I like both sides here. I like the Heat and the under.
Nice. And, Sean, let's get an opinion from you either on this game or one other that you might like.
Sure, Washington. When the Clippers lost to Washington on Monday, 90 total points against a weak defensive team, 20 turnovers. It's be the sixth straight road game, as Jim mentioned. No reason for them to go up tempo. Miami 9-3 total at home. And last year's game, despite overtime, was very low scoring. Clippers Heat Friday night under the total.
All right, there you go with some NBA goodies, and hopefully you guys will be able to put that to good use this weekend and get yourself to the winner's circle. Take advantage of the special offers, and don't forget to check in next week for 2 more editions of Proline, one in the colleges, one in the NBA. In the meantime, for John Creighton and for Jim Feist and Big Al McMordie, thanks a lot for watching. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.